Hello, welcome, and happy Wednesday. My name is Colleen, and today we are talking about W 2 employees and 1099 independent contractors. Okay, so we're talking about the difference between these two types of employment, and there is a significant difference between the two types of employment. Okay, so if you're a dental practice owner and you are looking to hire employees, you really do need to determine if you want to hire W 2 employees or 1099 contractors, what's going to be best for your office. Okay. Now, as everyone is, I'm sure, knows by now, these live streams each week are brought to you by Princess Dental Staffing, which is a dental job board. Okay. So essentially, Princess Dental Staffing makes the connection between dental professionals looking for work and dental practice owners looking to fill roles in order to facilitate operations within their office. You can kind of think of Princess Dental Staffing as sort of like a matchmaking service. Okay. And in this role, Princess Dental Staffing does not directly employ candidates within dental practices. Okay, so as the dental practice owner, as the one employing these employees, okay. Um, Dental practice owners are responsible for determining worker classification in alignment with state and federal regulations. Okay, and if those classifications aren't done correctly, it can get you in hot water with the IRS, which is something we definitely want to avoid. So, as a dental practice owner, you definitely want to determine the type of professional relationship that you want to have with your dental team and the level of control you wish to maintain over the practice's operations and finances. And as a dental professional as well, you definitely want to know the difference between a W 2 employee and a 1099 contractor. Okay. Most employment in the US is going to be a W 2 employee, but with the gig economy definitely, expanding, 1099 contracting has become, more appealing to a lot of employees. So, as a dental professional, you may want to determine or you may want to research both types of employment to see what works for you a little bit better. Okay. So, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be talking about the difference between these two types of employment, W 2 and 1099, why they're called W 2 and 1099, right? And we're going to be exploring that so that as a dental practice owner, you can kind of determine, what's best for your practice. And as a dental professional, you can determine what's best for your career. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about. But before we dive too deeply into that, just want to talk a little bit about Princess Dental Staffing. Again, they're a dental job board and they have positions, full time, part time, temporary, and permanent roles for dental professionals such as dental receptionists, dental assistants, dental hygienists, dentists, and more in a lot of different areas. So if you have some time today, hop onto princessdentalstaffing.com. As a dental professional looking for work, you can see what positions they have available in your area. You can also create a profile, get your information in front of hiring managers. And if you're a hiring manager, you can hop onto princessdentalstaffing.com where you can find all of their contact information, phone number, email, and they have chat on their website as well. You can also take a look at their blog, which covers a lot of the same topics that we cover in these live streams. Speaking of these streams, each week Princess Dental Staffing is bringing you a new stream covering a new topic regarding your career in the dental industry. So if you don't want to miss out on future streams, be sure to follow our page or subscribe to our channel. If you like the content we're bringing you, please drop us a like. And if you want to be part of the conversation, you want to add, comments, insights, or ask questions about the content we're bringing you or about the dental industry as a whole, be sure to comment below. Okay, let's start a conversation. All right, so let's talk about, let's go ahead and dive into this. Let's talk about 1099 versus W-2. So, you may have heard these terms before, 1099 versus W-2, and you may know what they are. Essentially, 1099 is the title of the tax document, essentially. I'm sorry, W-2 is the title of the tax document, right? So if you were what we call a permanent employee and you get hired on with an office or a practice, they have you fill out a W-4 form that lets them know how much you want withheld from your paycheck and for taxes essentially. But if you're a 1099 contractor, that is also a tax document. 1099 document is also a document that you'll bring with you when you do your taxes as an independent contractor, so that you have record of how much you were essentially paid gross payment. Okay, so that's kind of why. Excuse me. That's why we call them 1099s and W2, 1099 contractor, W2 employee. Essentially, those are your tax documents, your W2s and your 1099s. Okay. So this distinction impacts not only how you manage your staff, but also how you handle taxes, benefits, and compliance with labor laws. Okay. So let's look a little bit more in depth into what a 1099 contractor is. Okay, so a 1099 independent contractor, sometimes also known as a freelancer, is a professional who operates with a high degree of flexibility and autonomy. Okay, essentially they are their own employer, sort of, kind of. So unlike W-2 employees, they're not bound by set work hours and are responsible for their own tax payments. Okay. So essentially, if you decide you want to be a 1099 contractor, you are going to have to file taxes, and you're going to have to pay those taxes, including self-employment tax. Okay. So all the regular taxes that would normally be taken out of a paycheck, 1099 contractors, they don't have taxes taken out of their paycheck. They have to pay those taxes when they go to file them. Okay. So, because of this, some of the pros of being a 1099 contractor in a dental practice include things like flexible schedules. So, contractors can essentially set their own hours, and that helps allow for a better work-life balance. Okay. They also potentially have higher earnings. Okay. So, without a cap on hours, earnings can be significantly higher. And tax deductions and business expenses. Independent contractors can deduct expenses related to their work, such as equipment, travel costs, even home office sometimes as well. So, really kind of, you may, as a 1099 contractor, you may enjoy, the ability to deduct more on your taxes when you go to pay them. Okay. Some limitations, of course, apply. Now, some of the cons of being a 1099 contractor: lack of employee benefits. So, more often than not, in fact, I don't know that I've ever heard of a 1099 contractor receiving benefits through, the employer that they are, doing work for. But, yeah, so more often than not, you're not going to have access to like health insurance, paid time off, retirement plans through the practice, and those sorts of things. They also have a greater tax burden. Again, they are responsible for paying taxes. And if you're earning enough, you may have to file taxes like up to 4 times a year. Also, self-employment taxes. So that's an extra tax that kind of is tacked on to being a 1099 contractor. Okay. And then responsibility for their own insurance and retirement plans, right? So again, because you're a 1099 contractor, you likely aren't going to get benefits through the practice that you're working for. Okay. So you're going to have to manage and fund your personal insurance, retirement savings. You have to do all of that independently, hence independent contractor, right? So those are some of the pros and cons of being a 1099 contractor, independent contractor. Let's talk about a W-2 employee. Okay. So essentially, a W-2 employee is an individual who works under the direct supervision of the dental practice. They are employed by the dental practice. Okay. They have a fixed schedule, and the employer is responsible for withholding taxes and providing benefits. Okay. So some of the pros of being a W-2 employee in a dental office: first, access to benefits, right? As a 1099 contractor, you're not entitled to those sorts of benefits, and you likely won't receive them through the employer that you are working for. But as a W-2 employee, you often receive health insurance, retirement plans, and other perks, such as maybe like paid time off and those sorts of things. Additionally, job security and a stable income is another really, really big perk of being a W-2 employee. Regular paychecks and job stability, are definitely perks. Additionally, employer handles tax withholding. So again, if you're a W-2 employee, you fill out that W-4 when you are employed, and you let the employer know, maybe payroll, HR, whoever know how much to withhold in your paycheck that goes towards taxes, and that way you don't have to like pay them all at once, right? Hopefully, hopefully if you filled out the W-4 right, okay. Excuse me. So some of the cons of being a W-2 employee in a dental practice include less flexibility in work schedule. So you're bound to the practice's hours and policies because you're their employee, right? Potentially lower net pay compared to contractors. So you may earn less due to limited hours and employer controlled wages and limited tax deductions. So you have fewer opportunities for personal tax deductions as a W-2 employee. Okay. So those are some of the pros and cons of being a W-2 employee. Okay. Here are some of the other key differences, like kind of side by side comparisons between 1099 and W-2 employees. Control and independence. 1099 contractors have complete control over their work hours and methods, whereas W-2 employees have to adhere to the practice's schedule and policies. Secondly, tax implications. I know we keep kind of going over this, but it's kind of a really big part of the difference between, a 1099 and a W-2. So 1099 contractors handle their own tax filings, including self-employment taxes. Okay. W-2 employees, their employers withhold taxes for them. It simplifies the process for employees. And then when you get that W-2, that's really all usually all that you need to bring to a tax professional, or if you do your own taxes, of course. Generally speaking, a W-2 is usually what you need for the employment part of your taxes, whereas 1099 contractors is usually a lot more forms. Benefits and protection. 1099 contractors, again, you probably aren't going to get benefits provided by the practice owner, or not the practice owner, but the practice or the office. You're not going to get them through that employer. W-2 employees typically receive health insurance, retirement plans, and maybe some other benefits as well. And financial considerations. So 1099 contractors, their potential for higher earnings and greater control over their expenses, whereas W-2 employees, they have more stable income, but potentially lower earnings. Okay. And legal considerations. So 1099 contractors have to ensure they meet the IRS guidelines to avoid misclassification. W-2 employees are covered by labor laws that protect their rights as employees. So generally speaking, W-2 employees tend to have more employee rights than 1099 contractors. Okay. From a legal perspective. Okay. So those are some of the differences, kind of the pros and cons of both types of employment: 1099 independent contractor and W-2 employee. So if you are a practice owner, you're definitely going to want to take this information and determine the right classification for your dental practice, right? With this kind of knowledge, and so you can kind of again, you can kind of select, what you need and who you need for your practice in order to facilitate seamless operations. So you want to start by assessing practice needs and goals. So consider your practice's growth, stability, and patient care standards. Determine if you need the flexibility of independent contractors or the consistency of employees. You'll also want to evaluate professional preferences. So understand the career goals and lifestyle preferences of your dental professionals. Some may prefer the autonomy of contracting, while others may value the stability of employment. You'll also want to consult with legal and financial advisors. So ensure compliance with federal and state laws, maybe even local laws as well, by consulting with legal and financial advisors. Because again, misclassification of your employees can lead to significant penalties. So you definitely want to avoid that as much as possible. Okay. And finally, you want to conduct regular reviews. So regularly reviewing your classification decisions to adapt to changes in practice dynamics and regulations. Okay. Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit about these 6 factors. So the Department of Labor uses a 6-factor test to determine if a worker is a contractor or if they're an employee, right? 1099 versus W-2. So these are the 6-factor test. Okay, so factor number one, opportunity for profit or loss depending on managerial skill. Number two, investments by the worker and the potential employer. Number three, degree of permanence of the work relationship. Number four, nature and degree of control over the work. Number five, extent to which the work performed is an integral part of the potential employer's business. And number six, skill and initiative. Okay, so those are kind of the general overarching factors. If you want more information, a little bit more in depth information on what those factors mean, visit the Department of Labor's website, dol.gov. Okay. All right, so let's talk about common pitfalls and how to avoid them. So, again, misclassifying employees as independent contractors can result in IRS audits. Definitely something we want to avoid if we can. It can also result in financial penalties and back taxes. Okay. All of those things we definitely want to mitigate as much as possible. So it's crucial to follow IRS guidelines closely. Okay. Some best practices include making sure that your contracts and agreements are clear. So ensure all terms are documented and understood. And make sure you're having regular consultations with HR professionals and legal advisors so that you are in alignment and in lockstep with legal regulations. Okay. And make sure that you're regularly consulting with them because these things do change. Okay. Another great resource to keep up to date on kind of some of these changes, any like legal or HR changes and those sorts of things. SHRM is another one. The Society for Human Resource Management, really great website. Okay. Alrighty, so understanding the difference between 1099 independent contractors and W 2 employees is essential for the smooth operation of your dental practice. By making informed decisions and seeking professional advice, you can ensure compliance with regulations and create a positive working environment for your dental professionals. Okay. So, if you are a dental professional, are you a 1099 contractor or are you a W 2 employee? Comment below and let us know, and let us know why. If you chose to be a W 2 employee, what do you enjoy about being a W 2 employee? If you chose to be a 1099 independent contractor, what do you enjoy about that? Why did you decide to kind of go down that route? Let's start a conversation. Okay. All right, so that will do it for me today, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this content and that it was informative. Again, make sure that you are visiting, websites and getting your information from reliable sources, Department of Labor, IRS, SHRM, all of these really reliable sources. Okay. All right. So, hope you enjoyed the content. We will be back next week with a new topic covering your career in the dental industry. But until then, hope you have a great week. Have a great weekend. Continue to stay safe out there. I will see you soon. Goodbye.